Well, good evening. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, and I come to you tonight not with an accusation, but with an investigation. Tonight we ask, is the Lord Satan? Not an accusation, just a question tonight. And just when I thought I had everything locked and loaded, I see that my camera is not showing up on TikTok Studio. So I'm not sure why. I'm going to close that and try to restart it here in a minute and see what happens. But we are here tonight with not an accusation, but with a discussion. And tonight we're asking, is the Lord Satan? Is Satan the Lord? That's what we're here for tonight. So tonight we are going to enter into a Bible autopsy. We're going to have a Bible autopsy tonight. Is Yahweh the Lord Satan? So let's go ahead and get right into it tonight. Kylie has to leave, so we're going to see if we can't get a little bit of this going anyway, okay? All right, let's go ahead and do it. So I want to ask some questions tonight, and the textual path that I'm going down, it has a very, very interesting hinge, and you can let me know how my sound is doing if it's not the way it needs to be. But we've got a very, very interesting hinge tonight, I think. And the hinge is, come on, there's my chat. All right, perfect. Nice to see Smoochie back. So tonight, let's go ahead and talk about this because I have a very interesting hinge, but I do want to sharpen one distinction because it will actually make our deprogram, our Bible autopsy, much better. And it's 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse number 1, where it says, and I'm quoting, Yahweh's anger burns against Israel. And then Yahweh tells David to count the people or conduct a census. It says the anger of Yahweh burned against Israel, and he incited David against them. But then comes this extraordinary parallel, which is in 1 Chronicles 21:1, and it says, and Satan stood against Israel and incited David to number Israel. So you're talking about the same basic situation, and yet the same event, the same David, the same census, and the same incitement But why are there different agents there? Why are there different agents there? I just don't know. And that's our little Bible autopsy tonight. And the experiment actually becomes in Genesis. And I still can't get my camera to work on YouTube. I don't know why. On TikTok. But Genesis 1 uses the term Elohim at the beginning. It uses the term Elohim at the beginning. And then in Genesis 2:4, this guy called Yahweh shows up. This guy called Yahweh shows up. And that change is real. And that change is one of the observations behind looking at Genesis, and asking questions about it. That's what it's all about. So, what if we're incorrectly assuming that every single divine character that's talked about in the Bible through all of these layers is actually the same character? So now we've got a deprogram. Now we've got a Bible autopsy. So instead of asking you to accept that Yahweh is Satan, instead we're going to investigate whether later biblical composition merged, subordinated, reinterpreted different people, different divine figures, and their function. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. And the seed of all of this really is just one simple question, And that question is, who incited King David to number his people? Because we're told in one place it was Yahweh. We're told in another place it was Satan. So that's what we're going to look at tonight. That's what we're going to ask. We're not making any conclusions. I don't tell you what to think. I just try to get you to think. And in 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1, it's Yahweh that encourages David to number the people. In 1 Chronicles 21, it's Satan. So both incite David to take a census. So which one is it? And is it really the same person? That's really the question we're asking tonight. And it has to be said that there's really a big chronological gap between these two books, about 500 to 600 years between these two books. The events in Samuel and the events in Chronicle. And that gap is very, very important to our study, because we see in 2 Samuel it's Yahweh. We see in Chronicles it's Satan, which really is the adversary. That's the Hebrew there. And what it means is that Chronicles is a newer book, right? 2 Samuel was first, then comes Chronicles. So if 2 Samuel told us it was Yahweh that burned against Israel, and Chronicles tells us that it was Satan, what the heck are we talking about? And Tanakh says that Elohim is plural, and it is. If you're a Christian 4 words into a Bible that says there's only one God, you've got plural gods, so that's an issue that you'll have to deal with. So are they both of the same order? So the chronicler is retelling an older story, but he makes a big change. He says it was not Yahweh that did it. It was Satan that did it. And to me, that's crazy. So my question becomes, what happened in those 400 or 500 years that made a later Jewish writer uncomfortable or unwilling to tell us that it really was Yahweh that did it? And then he goes and blames it on Satan. And then we get a really big tell as well from the book of Job. And when we look at Samuel and we look at Job and we look at Chronicles, we get a really interesting development or evolution of this Satan character. And I just want to ask tonight, I don't know why I can't get my camera to work on TikTok. I'll probably just have to dive out of it because nobody wants to watch a black screen and just listen to some guy. Maybe we'll leave it on. That's okay. But why did the name change? Why did we go from Yahweh to Satan? Now, one significant thing has to be pointed out. I'm not saying that in Job 1:6, where it says the Elohim showed up and then Satan showed up. I'm not trying to say that Yahweh snuck in disguised as Satan. But what we have to realize is that the word Satan is ha-satan. It means the adversary. And when the Elohim were presenting themselves before the Most High, here comes Satan. So is Satan, like Tanhawk kind of told us, is Satan just one of these guys? Is Yahweh just one of these guys? Does this put them on a level playing field? These are the questions we're asking tonight. So in Job, another interesting thing happens. Satan doesn't independently torment Job against Yahweh's wishes. If you remember in the story, Yahweh authorizes the test of Job. Yahweh says it's okay to do it, which actually gives us another fascinating parallel. And I'm going to show this to you because to me, it is just totally crazy. So here's the parallel that we have to look at as well, because in 2 Samuel, Yahweh incites David. In 1 Chronicles, Satan incites David. In Job, Satan incites Yahweh, and that gives us a triangle or a trinity. And to me, that's a whole lot more interesting than just simply saying Yahweh equals Satan. This is starting to get crazy, folks. This is starting to get crazy. And I'm not here to tell you what to think, but I'm hopefully here to get you to think. And now I'm not at this point, at least, saying that the Catholics, the Protestants, the Muslims, and even the churches of Satan or the churches of Satanists, I'm not saying that they're all worshiping Satan. The textual evidence doesn't support that yet. But the hypothesis we're putting on trial here, it's kind of like dynamite. It's blowing up because the being later worshipped as Yahweh can be identified with the biblical adversary. And Tanhawk is correct. It's ha-satan means the adversary. But if we can identify Yahweh with Satan, then we've arrived at one of the strangest possibilities in religious history. We could have a bunch of religions spending centuries fighting over, making denominations, making new religions, while they don't even know it, they're worshiping the same God. They're worshiping the same adversarial power. That's a possibility. But what we're going to ask tonight, and I'm glad to see axiological apologetics. Sorry, I don't have a camera tonight, but we will, if you want to join in, you're welcome to join in. Here's a question. Can the text support this? Now, I'm trying to support this idea while making the investigation intellectually defensible. Now, Christians have spent 2,000 years asking who is Satan, right? But maybe the real question that Christians and everybody else that has an interest in Christianity should be asking is not so much who is Satan, but perhaps the big question is who is Yahweh? Who is Yahweh? That's a really, really big question, and maybe a bigger question. That's what we're going to find out tonight. So the textual path that I'm walking tonight in this Bible autopsy, it has a very interesting hinge, but I also want to sharpen this so it makes our investigation stronger. In Samuel, it's Yahweh. In Chronicles, it's Satan. Again, same basic event, same David, same census, same incitement. So what in the hell literally is going on here in this text? What is going on? Because the actor has apparently changed. In Samuel, it's Yahweh. In Chronicles, it's Satan. And that is my opening exhibit. And our apologetic brother says Satan's the easy answer. Yahweh's the hard answer. And if you could ask God a question, what would it be? Ask JC Tracy. It would probably be, am I showing a chat when I don't want to show the chat? Is that my problem? I don't really want to show the chat. I want to show my camera. Can you see me on TikTok? I don't think that you can. But if I could ask God one question, what would I ask him? I would ask God, why did he allow so much confusion to come into the world? That would be, yeah, I tried to find it, apologetics, but I can't find it. But this is the question of the evening. What the heck is going on? So remember, in Hebrews, Satan is the adversary. In Hebrew, that's the word. So is the chronicler talking about a fully developed later figure of Satan that didn't exist 500 years before? That ambiguity is useful. So I don't really need to begin by saying Yahweh is Satan. Instead, we can begin and discuss this observation. Why does one biblical account attribute the action to Yahweh while the other one attributes the action to Satan? And here's an even bigger question that I want to ask you tonight. Here's an even bigger question I want to ask you tonight. Where's my share screen? There it is. For some reason, I'm nervous tonight. I don't know why, but that's okay. We'll get over it. Here's the big question. Is this whole thing the key to a mind control operation? That's what we'll talk about tonight, and we'll welcome your calls in just a few minutes. But it also puts the sons of God of Genesis 6. It's all black on TikTok. I don't know why. I really don't. It puts the sons of God in opposition to Satan too. Because in this divine council that we see in Job, the sons of God and Satan came into their midst. They're both in opposition to Yahweh, which is hard to explain if the sons of God are fallen angels of Satan. Why would they be in opposition to Satan? And this is where Psalm 82 becomes explosive for our investigation. Because Psalm 82 talks about Elohim standing in the assembly of the great Elohim. And there's one Elohim that's judging among all the rest of the Elohim. So we really have what is a divine council on display. And as Tanhawk so adroitly pointed out earlier, that makes it really hard when you're talking about one God. Because Psalms 82:1 says God stands in the assembly of the gods, and he judges among the gods. What if there's only one God? Then how can there be gods? Wow. It becomes a little bit difficult to comprehend, because now you've got the Most High God staying in a council of other gods, as pictured here. And then you've got Satan coming in. Of course, that's the picture. So what in the world is going on here? What in the world is going on here? Let's dig into it. And just to show you, and this isn't the actual literal Hebrew, but this gives you a really good idea of what was going on here. In Job, the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. We'll let that stand, even though that's probably not what it was. And then Satan came into the midst of them, is what that word really means. So again, and then apologetics weighs in. Well, he calls them gods with a little g because that's what they presented themselves to as the peoples. I have to call your attention to this, axiological apologetics. You know very well that Hebrew doesn't have little g's. There are no capitals or lowercase in Hebrew. None. It's just all capitals. So what you're saying, I understand you weighing into it as a Christian, and I'm assuming you're a Christian because of your name, but you know from your study that there are no capitals in Hebrew. So now you've got a problem by telling me that it's capital letters, because we both know it isn't. And then when you bring in Job, you've got the sons of God, the B'nai Elohim, joining in. Oh, now see, this is where we start to tap dance. And I wish you would call in instead of just write in. But axiological apologetics says, well, let's go back to the Latin Vulgate. Why don't we just read what the apostles read? Why don't we start with the Hebrew that it was written in? And I'm not trying to attack you, but I'm just saying, listen, if God wrote it in Hebrew and God inspired it to be written, then you can't tap dance out and say, oh, it's a little g. It sounds like you're trying to cover your ASS in all capital letters, because that just doesn't make any sense. You're telling me, oh, we don't know what the Hebrew is. Well, then how do you know anything in the Old Testament? How do you know the prophecies of your Jesus are correct? You start getting down a slippery slope. You start getting around a slippery slope. You know the Hebrew was first. If you want to know what God said, go back to the Hebrew, and the Hebrew doesn't have any capital letters. So your original supposition is very, very flawed. So Genesis 6 shows that the sons of God also came in against Yahweh. So I would ask, if the sons of God are against Yahweh and standing there with Satan, how could they possibly be beings of Satan? It doesn't make any sense. And that makes Job 2:3 even more uncomfortable, because Yahweh tells Satan, and I'm quoting, Yahweh tells Satan, you incited me against Job to destroy him without cause. I'm telling you to go back to the Hebrew. Why are you running from the Hebrew? Axiological. You can't prove any of your prophecies if you run from the Hebrew. If you want to talk to me about prophecies of Jesus, then you've got to accept the Hebrew. And if you're going to accept it in prophecy to be consistent, you've got to accept it in everything. And if you don't, you're inconsistent, and that shows something, a flaw in your argument. So Yahweh says the devil made him do it. That's very, very interesting, because Yahweh is supposed to be the almighty, omnipotent God. And when you've got the almighty, omnipotent God saying, the devil made me do it, then I think you've got a problem. And our apologist, who won't come on live, he just wants to be a keyboard cowboy, so we're going to cut him off. He says he's not being inconsistent because he's using what the apostles used. The apostles were all Jewish. They were all from Judah. Do you think they knew Hebrew? Do you think they were standing in the synagogues using the Latin Vulgate? Do you not think they spoke Hebrew? They were Jews. Now you're just being ridiculous, man. Now you're just being ridiculous. Either call in or hush, because you've lost your credibility. You've lost your credibility. Unless you're willing to answer those questions, then I'm not going to respond to you anymore unless you call in. This is not a call in, a write-in show. This is a call in show. And then we say Hebrew was a lost language in the New Testament. Come on, man. Come on, man. But in Job 2, Satan incites Yahweh against Job. In 2 Samuel, Yahweh incites David against the people of Israel. And then in 1 Chronicles, David gets incited by Satan. Who's the one doing the deed, folks? Who's the one doing the deed? And what exactly is the relationship between Yahweh and Satan? One more correction I want to make. The sons of God came before the Elohim. That's not really the wording of Job 1:6 in the Hebrew. I know that our Christian scholar doesn't care about the Hebrew unless he's trying to prove his point. But it's not saying that they came before Yahweh. It's Yahweh was not most likely one of the Elohim. He's not one of the sons of God. He's outside their number, just like Satan is. And that's a crucial distinction that I don't want to just get interpreted away. And when you go into some of the other translations of the Bible, when you go into some of the other translations of the Bible, you get things like this. You get, there was a day in the Amplified Bible when the sons of God, who they say are angels, even though Genesis 6 does not use the word angels, they came to present themselves before Yahweh, and the adversary also came into the midst of them. And then the Berean annotated Bible says there was a day when the Elohim, the sons of God, so it right there says the sons of God are the Elohim. I thought they were fallen angels. The adversary Satan also came into their midst. So you've got a big bunch of confusing stuff. And I'm just wondering if you might want to try to sort this out. And the thing I have to ask is, I mean, you've got a guy in the chat who calls himself an apologist, but is afraid to actually call in and discuss. He's trying to say that the apostles didn't speak Hebrew. And now he's cussing. He's trying to say the apostles didn't speak Hebrew. So I have to ask this question. Why is there so much Christian chicanery around these verses? And I put an extra S in there. I would suggest it's because they all speak directly to Genesis 6. This is the last I'm going to address you. Well, the Hebrew you're reading is flawed. Well, what Hebrew are you reading for your prophecies of Jesus? Come on, man. You're talking in circles. The big secret is Genesis 6. They don't want you to know that the sons of God could not have been fallen angels because they weren't angels. And by the way, what is chicanery? Well, this one's in your New Testament, so-called apologist that's afraid to enter into discussion. Chicanery means deception by artful subterfuge or sophistry. It means trickery. And it's in your New Testament in 2 Corinthians 12:16. Crafty as I am, Paul, who wrote 2/3 of your New Testament, whether he wrote it in Greek, Hebrew, or Swahili, and he too was a master of Hebrew. He said, I caught you by trickery. That's why I say there's chicanery afoot in the Bible, and those of you that are honorable Christians deserve to know that. You deserve to know that. Now, I want to do something that the apologist won't do. I actually want to go to the Bible text. We're going to go to Bible Hub. We're going to go to Bible Hub. What is Bible Hub? That is called an online interlinear. It allows any one of you with an internet connection to go ahead and study the Bible just like me, even though I have a Bible college degree and no biblical Hebrew and no biblical Greek. And there's a lot of evidence that the New Testament was probably written in Hebrew first. But all you have to do if you want to go to Psalm 82 is come to the drop-down menu. Sorry, I got to go over there to it. Go to the drop-down menu, go down to Psalms, and then go to Psalms 82. And if you go down to Psalms 82, you'll be right there in the Bible. You'll be right there in the Bible. Now, what I recommend you do is go over here and click on the first verse. Because if you click on the first verse, then you can go up here and click on, let's go back. You can go back to the first verse and click on interlinear, and it's going to show you the whole book in the original Hebrew and then written right in English for you to study it. Very, very interesting. And you can just click all the way through it. You can just click all the way through it. But instead of making you do that, let's go back to the King James Version, and let's go to where right here it says, God stands in the congregation of the mighty. Well, what does that really mean? Well, let's look at verse 1. And let's look at it in the interlinear, because this makes it very, very easy for you. God, which problematically is Elohim, which means God, gods, divine being, judges. It means gods and goddesses, male and female, plural, more than one, which is a problem in a Bible that supposedly is only one God. But God took his stand in the divine congregation, and he judged among what? They tell you it's a little g, but there is no punctuation. So you've got one Elohim, and they tell us it's Yahweh, standing and judging among other Elohim. So that's a problem when you've got one God. And this should immediately remind you of Job chapter 1, verse 6, where they came in and we're talking about Job. It's so crazy. And then Psalm 82, 6 says, you are all sons of God. So everybody there is called sons of God. Everybody there is called sons of God. The sons of God who were told in Genesis 6 are fallen angels are there. Yahweh's there. So if the sons of God in Genesis 6 are fallen angels, then so is Yahweh, because the Most High God says you're all sons of God. And now we've got a really big problem if we're trying to prove a Bible with just one God. We've got what I would suggest to you is an unsolvable problem, because in Job, the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God, in Psalm 82, B'nai Elion, the sons of the Most High, and then Psalm 82, 1, an assembly containing the sons of God and the Elohim, and then Genesis 6, the sons of God. So they are not even angels, and they're certainly not fallen angels. So you've got some real splaining to do, as Ricky Ricardo says. And then he says something very, very interesting to those that are gathered in that assembly. What did he say to them? He said, why are you judging unjustly? Why are you showing partiality to wicked people? Then he tells them, do what you're supposed to do. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and the needy. And you'll remember that Jesus said these words, pure religion and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. So these people that the Most High God was taken to task were not being consistent with even the words of Jesus. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And he goes on to tell them, because you're not being right, you will die like men. You will be judged. So whoever the sons of God are, some of them are being held accountable for abusing the most vulnerable of humans. And our question becomes, which ones were responsible? And now we've got a really big question, because as you read in Genesis 6, which one of these sons of God throws a temper tantrum and destroys the whole earth, if you believe the story? Yahweh. Yahweh destroys the whole earth. Now you've got a real challenge. And this is why I want our honest-minded, good-hearted Christians that are out there thinking they're doing their best to consider this, because in Deuteronomy 6:15 it says, the Lord your God, Yahweh, is a jealous God, and he will wipe you off the face of the earth, which is exactly what he did in Genesis 6. Wow. Wow. So many questions tonight. And I'm the guy that brings up the questions. I'm not the guy that gives answers. That's not what I do. And like I shared with you before, Psalm 82, verses 6 and 7, we get this. You're all sons of God, you're divine beings. But you're going to die like men because you're not doing right. You're not doing right. And that should stop and make you pause and make you wonder. And there's even more of this. There's even more of this, because we're told, oh, the sons of God were Nephilim. They were bad guys. But we've just seen that even Yahweh was called a son of God. They were called Nephilim, which means to fall, to lie, to cast down, to fail. There were giants. The sons of God came. The Nephilim came. The bullies, the tyrants. So somebody's a bully, somebody's a tyrant. But our question tonight, since Yahweh's numbered in this mix, who's really the bully and who's really the tyrant? And if Psalm 82 shows a meeting of the Most High God and all the other gods, then why isn't Yahweh named in Psalm 82? We get El, we get Elohim, we get Elyon, but we don't get Yahweh. So if Yahweh's not mentioned, then who is actually running the show? And I'm going to share this with you because it's devastating. It's devastating. Deuteronomy 32 and 8. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance and set their boundaries according to the number of the sons of God, he gave Yahweh Jacob. So if Yahweh is given Jacob by the Most High, Dagger says he's Most High. How could Yahweh be the Most High if he is given an allotment by the Most High? Pretty difficult to answer, isn't it? I'm going to go ahead and leave TikTok because my camera isn't working. And I wouldn't want to watch a black screen on TikTok. So, you know, Jesus said, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So I feel like I ought to at least be consistent, right? I ought to at least be consistent. So I'll try to at least be consistent. We've asked a lot of tough questions tonight. And Deuteronomy 32 gives us the bridge, dividing the nations, Yahweh receiving Jacob. And that raises the question that I want to investigate tonight. Is Yahweh identical with Elion in this passage, or is Yahweh one member within a divine hierarchy that includes the sons of God? That's a serious historical question. And what it really leads to is this, in my opinion, a stunning and staggering question, a very stunning and staggering question. And I would ask my Christian friends to answer this. Did the Bible begin with one God? Or did the Bible end up with one God? Wow. That's for you to answer, not for me. I'm going to throw up here on the screen an invite link. And if you want to come in and speak, you don't even have to turn your camera on. You can come in. This is our call-in show. You can come in and speak right now if you can be polite and if you can be interesting. So the textual sequence becomes really elegant now, because Psalm 82 shows us there's a divine council being ruled over by the Most High God, who I acknowledge. I don't really worship because I don't think we're supposed to worship, but I acknowledge the Most High. That's my God, the God I believe in. And we have the Most High dividing up the people to their gods. And Yahweh is one of those gods. And he gets Israel or Jacob. Job chapter 1 shows a same assembly gathering before the Most High God, which we just found out in Psalm really wasn't Yahweh. It was Elion, the Most High. And then we have in First Chronicles Satan inciting David. And then we have, in Samuel, we have Satan inciting David, when originally in 2 Samuel it said that Yahweh incited David. The number is up on the screen. You have to click on that link, Smoochie. Let me go ahead and, can I pin that? Yeah, I just pinned it. So it's pinned at the very top. Then we return to Genesis 1 and 2. In Genesis 1, it's all about the Elohim. In Genesis 2, suddenly Yahweh shows up. So that's a lot more compelling than just saying Yahweh is Satan. Because the text so far says that Yahweh is just one of the gods. And even from the in the beginning, God, the fourth word of the Bible, means gods. Yahweh is just one of them. So now we're asking, did an Israelite divine identity and entity get developed into this Satan idea? And I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to end this autopsy short of a conclusion. All you have to do is click on the link, Smooch. You just click on the link. We've built something much more powerful here than I just proved Yahweh is Satan. What we proved is Yahweh is just one of the sons of God under the God Most High, who gets assigned to people just like everybody else. Basement Shaman says Yahweh is a desert demon and Elion is the Most High. I would agree that Yahweh is a desert God. I won't assign the demon word. He is just one of the gang. But our honest-hearted Christians believe he's the only God, so now they've got something else to think about. I'll repaste that link. There's that link. Anybody can click on that. Anybody can click on that. And you can come on to the Deprogram, because it's really not a write-in show. It's a call-in show. So I've shown you that the Bible text itself creates a problem that later Christian theology is just harmonized away. Transient, if I didn't prove anything, call in and talk to me about it. Don't be a keyboard cowboy. Don't be a keyboard cowboy. Genesis 1, it's the Elohim creating. Genesis 2, Yahweh shows up. Deuteronomy 32, it shows us that Yahweh is not the Most High God. He's one of the sons of God. And then Psalms 82 shows us the Most High God, Elyon, judging among all the other gods, including Yahweh, who's also called a son of God. So you can't say in Genesis 6 that the sons of God are fallen angels unless you're willing to say that Yahweh is a fallen angel. And then you've got to wonder, why do we change from Satan inciting David and Yahweh inciting David? Why the change? These are big questions, and it always just makes me wonder when the Christians disappear given the opportunity to call in. In Job, the sons of God assemble. The adversary comes in with them. So is he a son of God? In Job 2, the adversary says and does nothing without Yahweh's permission. And then Yahweh says, you, Satan, made me do bad things to Job. You've got the God of the Bible. P.H. Texan says, Isaiah 45:5, I'm the Lord, there's no other. Apart from me, there is no God. Wow. Wow. We just shown there are gods. And this is what I want to show you because it's so frustrating and it's very disappointing to me. We got a guy here that looks like he's a preacher. He's got his suit on. He's all about being a preacher. He's all about being a strong, powerful Christian. But given the chance to enter into the discussion, he chooses to employ what Kylie calls drive-by evangelism. There is no phone number, Smoochie. You have to click on the link and you come up right on the screen with me. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool. I would call in, but I got to be up in the morning. Well, you're up right now. See, this is the frustration I have with Christians. You remember for 25 years, I was a Christian preacher. And if I'd have come across, we didn't have YouTube back then. If I'd have come across a guy saying what I said, it's right on the screen, Smoochie. Here it is one more time. It's right there. Just boom, click on it. I would have called in and I would have discussed with him. But for some reason, these guys won't. It's in the chat. It's in the chat. But these guys won't. They just won't. And unfortunately, like Kylie, I have to call BS on it. I think they're just afraid. That's where I'm going to stop presenting evidence because there's really no more to present. Here's the rest of my evidence for the entire Deprogram. Are you ready? Here's the rest of my evidence. Boom. There's my evidence. And I have to ask again. Is the Lord Satan? Is the Lord Satan? It seems that way, Kylie. Whoops. Whoops. It seems that way, Kylie. The chat's running fast. It seems like they're cowardly. It seems like they're cowardly. I hate to put it that way, but that's the way it seems. Let me do it this way. I'll even show it on the stream. Can I show it on the stream where it doesn't cover my face? Yeah, there's the chat. There's the chat, and I'll paste the link right up there again. You see, it just came up on the screen right there. All you have to do is click on that. Or if you're like me and aren't great with computers, just type it all in, and you'll be able to come right into the Deprogram. It's crazy. And again, Transient Facts just wants to laugh. I thought you had to get up early. You're still here, but you won't pick up your phone. And I'm really asking you, why not? Why not? I don't get it. So I have to ask this question as well. I've got to ask this question. Who's really the adversary? Who's really the adversary? Who's the adversary? Who's the one that's against us? Now, this is what Kylie says. That's not what I say. This is what Kylie says. She's calling you out, Transient Tacos. You're being called out by a girl. You're being called out by a girl. A cute little girl. Wow. Christians will tell you Satan is the enemy of Yahweh. Well, maybe that's true. But our autopsies uncovered a considerably messier textual history, hasn't it? The earliest manuscript doesn't give us the Christian devil. It gives us something else. Job gives us an adversary operating within the divine council alongside Yahweh. You're still here, Transient. You could have had a 10-minute phone call. It's not ad hoc. I'm inviting you to come in and talk. I have to default back to Kylie's. I think I have to fall back to Kylie's characterization. I think Kylie is right. I'm trying to find it. It's just running really, really fast. I'll use this one. It's more politically correct. It seems very, very cowardly to me. And again, we have an act that's attributed initially to Yahweh, then being rewritten as attributed to Satan. Are they telling us? Are they telling us? Let me show you one more time. I said I wasn't going to give any more evidence, but let me show you this just one more time. Do I believe the earth is a prison planet? I believe the earth is a beautiful, perfect planet, a divine planet. But I believe it's been overlaid with a false simulation matrix. Call in. Why don't you call in? If Jesus is really your Lord and your Savior, and you can prove that he was God in human form, if you can prove that Jesus was real without using your Bible, please call in. Please. I'd love to talk to you. Maybe you can explain why in 2 Samuel, Yahweh tempts David. But in First Chronicles, 500 years later, they say, no, it was Satan that did it. Why does the Most High God say the devil made me do it? Tonight we began by asking, is Yahweh Satan? I'm not going to tell you what to think. But I'm going to ask a much more difficult question. Why isn't the Bible more clear about it? And as Christians, we've inherited theological conclusions that tell us exactly how these terms are supposed to relate to one another. But the ancient texts preserve evidence of a world in which those relationships are even more complicated than we think. So maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I made a mistake. PH Texan, quit being a coward. Come into the show. What's the matter? Come into the show. You say these things. You're all dressed up to preach. I'm giving you a chance to preach. Back when I was a preacher, I would preach at the drop of a hat, and then I'd drop the hat. Why not call in? But maybe I made a mistake. Maybe our mistake was starting with theology and forcing the text to fit it. What if we reverse that? Why don't we erase what we're told these characters are? Let's read the names as they're printed in the Hebrew. And let's let these characters just introduce themselves. Texan, don't make me block you. This is not a write-in show. It's a call-in show. And you can't just come in here and make people listen to you. I'm offering you a chance to call in. Ooh, you're being called out by another girl. Serious Shirley's calling you out. Serious Shirley says, everything is bigger in Texas, even cowards, apparently. Maybe we could return to this provocative religious point, but as a conditional that makes it harder to dismiss. And if the being eventually identified as the Supreme Lord contains characteristics associated with Satan, then the implications become much more difficult. Why don't you call in, Christopher, bearer of Christ? You must not be real confident of that Christ that you're bearing. You're being called out by a girl. Kylie says you aren't a preacher, you're a troll. That's all. Why not do it? Whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, Muslim, or even Satanist. Has humanity spent thousands of years fighting over labels before even knowing who they're fighting about? I'm not going to say they're all worshiping Satan. I'm not going to do it. But we're told that Satan's greatest trick was what? What are we told? Satan's greatest trick was what? Convincing the world he didn't exist, right? But what if Satan's greatest trick? There is no number. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. There's a link right there. Just click on it. Just click on it. And you can come in to the Deprogram if you can be polite and if you can be interesting. What if the greatest trick was not convincing the world he didn't exist, but convincing the world that another devil made him do it? And here's the guy that has to get up early and can't call. He's still here trolling in the chat. Elijah Johnson is welcome to call in right now, but he won't either. Why? There aren't any digits. All you have to do is click the link. Just click the link. You guys can shop on TikTok. You guys can go to OnlyFans, but you can't click a link. Come on, it's easy. It's really easy. Just click. There is no calling. Just click the link. And what was the lie he told us? What was the lie he told us? The lie he told us was it's all the fault of the sons of God, of which he's one, and their fallen leader, who he says made him tempt Job. Is Yahweh the most high, most powerful God? If Satan can make him do something? There is a link. I'm looking at it in the chat. It's right there. It's right there. Ariel Dark Star, why won't you call in? Thank you, Smoochie. I've posted it in the chat at least 4 times. At least 4 times. Well, then just type it in if it's not working. Just type it in. I'll debate anybody, anytime, any place. But they're all just like this crowd. They don't want any part of me. What we're seeing is classic inversion and projection. That's what we're seeing. Maybe it doesn't work on some phones. I don't know. Today, we'd call that gaslighting. Today, we'd call that gaslighting. Why would the Most High God have to gaslight anybody? I don't know. If you want to know what the argument is, you'll have to rewind the tape. Oh, somebody's in. Add to stream. Boom. You are live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind?
Hi, Jeff. I just called to see like what kind of questions you had for me. I'll give you a little background on myself. I get what you're talking about in the Old Testament. It could be definitely a little weird at times for sure.
Right.
But I definitely I concentrate on the New Testament, and I have this book that I got.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Just real quick, I want to tell you the name of the book. It's called The Words of Jesus Only.
Have you read the New Testament in its entirety yourself personally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yes, I have.
Good for you.
And
so are you telling me that so you believe in the New Testament prophecies, obviously, right?
Are we talking about Revelation?
No, I'm talking about the prophecies that supposedly prove that Jesus was the Messiah. And don't those come from the Old Testament?
Correct. I do believe that Jesus was the Messiah.
But how can you do that without the Old Testament?
I do believe those parts of the New Testament. I just do struggle with certain things in the Old Testament.
But so let me, and if I'm mischaracterizing your statement, please correct me. So what I'm hearing you saying is, what I'm hearing you say is I only believe the parts of the Old Testament that I want to believe.
No, I believe most of it. I wrestle with certain parts of it, like when Abraham was told to sacrifice Isaac. That kind of always bothered me.
But it doesn't bother you to say that Jesus is real because he fulfills the Old Testament prophecies. Can you understand why I would suggest that sounds a little bit hypocritical?
I guess you could say that, but I mean, this is how I feel at my age. I mean, before
Mhm.
I used to just take everything literally and not question any of it. But as I get older, I do find a lot of violence and like I feel like God was very angry in the Old Testament. And then I feel like in comparison to Jesus, who was more of a pacifist and loving and different type of.
But I have to stop you right there because Jesus wasn't a pacifist. The last words we have of Jesus is in Revelation 19, where he says he's coming back with a sword to kill everybody that doesn't worship him. That doesn't sound like a pacifist to me.
Well, I do kind I hate to say this, but I do kind of have an issue with Revelation too. I don't take it so literally. I mean, it was just a dream, right? They say that John had. Isn't that what Revelation is, if I'm
Can
not
I have
mistaken?
you've read Second Peter, right?
I don't, this was a while back, so I don't remember everything,
Well,
you know.
Second Peter says this, and I just want to suggest this to you. He said that
Okay.
all prophecy of the scripture is not subject to anybody's interpretation. And that word prophecy means both foretelling and just preaching. So I'm suggesting to you that if you've got problems with some of the Old Testament, you got problems with some of the New Testament, it sounds like you're violating what Peter says and you're interpreting when he says you can't interpret any of it.
Well, my answer to that would be that I'm only human, and I I don't believe that God's going to hold that, or Jesus is going to hold that against me, because I'm only human. And so this is how I process
Okay.
the Bible, for, mentally and emotionally myself.
So if you violate the words of the Bible, Jesus isn't going to hold it against you, right?
I mean, that's how I feel.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that's, you certainly are able to feel that way. I'm going to go ahead and let you go and add in somebody that's waiting. Thanks for the
sure.
call. You're
You're
welcome to call
welcome.
anytime.
Thank
And
you.
you listen, let me just say to you,
Yes, sir.
I support your right to believe what you believe. My job is not to tell you what to believe. My job is to give you things to think about. So when you do decide what you believe, then you know what it's based upon. And I salute you for not just believing what somebody tells you. You're searching yourself. Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank
night.
you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Texan, you are in the stream, I believe. What's on your mind?
What's up, buddy? How's your
Hey,
night
what's
going?
up? And thank you for calling in. So, Kylie, Shirley, he called in. So, you got to back off.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. And hey, respect for you, being straightforward about what you think. It sounds like you've read a lot of scripture.
I have over 200,000 hours of study in the Greek and Hebrew New Testaments, or
Respect to
Greek
you, sir.
Old and New.
Hey,
What's on your mind? I'm giving you the floor.
yeah. What's on my mind is that I used to ask that same question, man. When I was in that suit, I was an atheist. I was searching for truth in a lot of different places.
Okay.
I'm
And I
not a
hope you don't
scholar.
stop.
What's that, brother?
I hope you don't stop searching. And
I
your camera's
appreciate
on,
that.
just so you know. Okay,
Oh, I
it's
think
off.
that's a different camera. I think mine's off.
Oh, okay,
But
good.
no, I never stopped searching, man. I think I may have
Good.
found the answer. If you want to hear the story, I'd happily share how I feel like I met the Most High, the creator of all, gods and humans.
Okay, give it to us real quick if you can.
Yeah, I'll make it quick.
And Shirley's apologizing to you, Texan.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's no offense, but that's nice. Yeah, I was out camping in Texas in 2020. It was right in the middle of COVID. Um, Flash flood hit us middle of the night.
Hold on, Super
And
G. We'll bring you in after Texan.
yeah, and a couple of us, I think a few more, heard a booming voice in the middle of this rainstorm. And the next morning, we're talking about it. And, some people are saying, was that Egyptian gods, or I think it was Nordic gods, and they said this and that.
Right.
It was an unintelligible voice. I couldn't say it was English or any known language I know. So, I'm left with that question of what is that? To me, something registered Is this the God that came to Moses in a cloud with a booming voice, as I've read? So I chased down that path, man. I asked God, like, the Most High, creator of all things, like, what's the real case here? What's the real story? Like, I really want this truth now. Like, you've got my attention. I believe there's good. I believe there's bad. What's the true case? I believe he showed me a sign of the Shroud of Turin, and I always recognized it. I never believed it, and I've investigated it ever since, and I've investigated a relationship with the Most High God, and I've read this Bible, and it doesn't lead me to believe that he is of the same nature as his own creation, which rebelled against him. Rebellious angels, humans that didn't take his word at the beginning, and we've been in a state of fallen, on a cursed creation that one day would be restored by that true creator God.
Well,
And
I mean, you have an experience that causes you to believe. Can I ask you a question, if you don't mind?
yes, sir.
So you believe the Bible contains the words of the Most High God, right?
I believe that he authored it, and he has the power to inspire that through prophets and his apostles.
Have
If
you
he created
read the
everything,
Bible cover to cover even one time?
yes, sir.
Good for you, because most people, 95% people say no.
I agree with you, man.
So
If
you
somebody's
have a
interested in the
reason
truth,
for
they
your
should probably
belief.
explore it.
You have a reason for your belief. You're convinced of it. I salute you for doing your due diligence, reading the whole Bible. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I hope that you'll
Thank you.
continue to watch this channel. And I mean, what do you think about what we've shared tonight, just in a quick synopsis?
From what I heard, like you said, I was asking that same question, whether I was somehow like being deceived to think that Yahweh was the creator God. Um,
And so
I
now you have your answer. And what's your answer?
that in itself is a deception, unfortunately, that would lead you away from that true creator God, which is a triune God. I
Well,
believe expressed through Old and New Testament
I would
consistently.
encourage you to keep studying, keep asking questions, keep questioning answers. I'm going to let you go and bring in another caller. Thanks so much for calling in.
It was a pleasure, sir. Keep seeking, my friend.
I will. Thank you.
Bless you.
Super Galactic, you're in with us. What's on your mind?
Hey, I want to ask you a question. I think I already know the answer to this, but you said that it doesn't say angel,
Right. In Genesis 6, it does
but
not
don't
say
it
angel.
say messengers?
Messengers, yes, absolutely. But
All right,
it doesn't even. Let
I'm
me
gonna tell
correct
you
myself.
something.
Let me correct myself, Super Galactic. In Genesis 6, it doesn't call the sons of God messengers. It doesn't use the word malak, which is angel or messenger. No, it does not.
Oh, it don't.
It doesn't. It's not there.
Oh, well,
And Ariel
I
Dark
thought.
Star saying, I've never read the Bible, but I believe it's true. Ariel, if you think the Bible's the word of God and you've never read it, wow. Sorry, Super Galactic. Go back. Go ahead.
What does it say? I thought it did say messenger.
No, it just says the sons of God, the sons of the Elohim came down. That's all it says. That's all it gives them the same identifier that it gave Yahweh and every other God in that divine council in Psalm 82.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, reason why I was asking is because I'm working on a book. I done finished one book. It's the Futuristic Bible,
Call in. Yeah, I started reading it today.
and what it's going to be about in the second book is I'm planning on letting it be about time travelers, the sons of God being time travelers
Ooh,
coming
that
from the
could well
future,
be.
coming from the future, and they're warning mankind, hey, stop doing what you're doing. Stop trying to trick people like the Christians are doing,
I
like the
think you're
church
right,
is
Super
doing.
Galactic. I think
And
that's
then
exactly
I'm
what they were
going to put
doing.
it where the church ain't doing it on purpose. You get what I'm saying? They're not intentionally trying to deceive people.
I think some of them are super galactic, but I don't think the vast majority are trying.
For the most part, they are people are deliberately trying to deceive people. I think these evangelical Christians that you see on television, I think they are deliberately trying to deceive people. I think they're working with Donald Trump.
Most of them are, I would agree.
And
but I've come over just in the past few months, Super Galactic. I think there still are a lot of good people within the Christian church, and the ones that are saying they believe the Christ are believing what the real Christ is, an anointing, a flow, a connection with divinity, and they're doing the best they can at this point.
Yeah, I see them every day. My brother's a good man. He's a Christian. My mama's a Christian, and they're good people. And I talk about the stuff that we talk about on email, and I tell my parents the kind of stuff that you believe in. I tell them up front that I don't believe the way they do, but we have an understanding. We don't get into it about religion. We believe the constitutional way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Super Galactic, give me 1 second.
You don't impose your belief on somebody else when they're not interested in it. They got their own thing going.
Christian, I'm going to ban you if you don't pick up the phone and call. Hey, Super Galactic, I really appreciate you. I'm going to read the rest of that PDF and I'll get back to you. I want to add in another caller. Thank you, sir, for calling in. Good night. You are live with us, I believe. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, man, how are you? Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the call. So we just got done watching Jack Hibbs tonight, as a matter of fact.
I don't even know who that is, unfortunately.
So he runs a church out of Southern California. I believe they're Calvary related.
Okay.
That whole movement, Southern California in the late 60s, early 70s. Anyways, they got a pretty big thing going. He has a big YouTube channel, huge following, huge following. So I get off of that, and then I flip over I get back on whatever regular YouTube, and there you are, like a State of the Union, the other parties type of rebuttal thing. Yeah, it was interesting. And so here's my question to you. I don't have anything new or profound to say. I just wanted to see where do you stand on the second coming already occurred in 70 AD?
You know what? If you just take the text, the whole text, and nothing but the text, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Joe Friday from Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am. If you just take the text, the whole text, and nothing but the text, you really can't argue against that point. Everything from Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 22:21 was fulfilled by 70 AD. I think you're 100%. I think that's a 100% accurate statement.
Because through John's statements, and he uses a lot of past tense stuff. He's already up in heaven, and he already saw what happened, and this is just it's a revelation of what occurred. This is his personal experience with it, and it's been either weaponized or it's been translated so many times through so many different variations that I just feel it's being usurped to carry out a political agenda, a monetary agenda.
I think you're 100% right. And by the way, if you have some time or you suffer from insomnia, the last deprogram we did right before this one on the channel is all about what you're talking about. Are we past Revelation, and are we into a great reset where they're trying to start Genesis again?
And then, right. So, and if let's say worst case scenario, we get caught in this reciprocal cycle where we just have to do the same damn thing over and over till we collectively learn our lesson with whatever percentage of amount of humans that has to pass this idiot test. That's a story for another day. But real quick, I don't want to take up too much of your time or any of your other callers.
Little horn, pick up the call. Come in just like Kevin did. It's not a write-in show; it's a call-in show.
There's a Hebrew gematria, and I'm not big on gematria. I don't get any of that.
Either, but it does.
But there's
have
a thing where there's a Nero thing where it all aligns to the 666 mark and all that with Caesar Nero.
Yes.
So, and from a biblical record standpoint, that makes perfect sense, leading up to the destruction of the Second Temple.
You know, my first book was called Rapture Shock, and it dealt with that Nero thing very, very much. So, I mean, I think you're right on. I hope you'll call in again. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
I don't think it's too far off. I know it's kind of out there for some, and it's not something that resonates with most people, considering we live in the here and now. And all of that stuff seems like it's, right around the corner at any given moment. But it wouldn't surprise me or shock me one bit if this is all just a rehash of a timeline that has already occurred. And it's up to us to get it fucking right, excuse my language, once and for all.
You're right.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to keep listening. Appreciate you.
Thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
So, we've got some men that have the courage of their convictions, and then we've got transient tacos who just wants to sit in the chat and yap, yap, yap like a keyboard cowboy. Why can't you call in if you're so convinced that I'm wrong? And maybe the reason why the people are calling you a coward is because you're afraid to call in. Maybe you're afraid to call in. Lester, can I ask you a question? You say they're coming for you with the no-hide laws. Which one of the no-hide laws is not included in the 10 Commandments? The answer is none of them. None of them. If you click on my channel, it'll tell you what times I'm on. We don't spoon feed people here. There's only twice a week. Click on the channel description and you'll find it. You'll find it. Ron, you are live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind? It's late night in the Heartland.
Hey, I just wanted to say that that he's going to be coming back soon.
Well, we're still waiting, Ron. Why are we still waiting? Jesus said they'd come back in his life. He said to the people that before you even preach through all of Israel, I'll be back. Paul said that he'd be back in his lifetime. Now Ron's telling us he'll be back in our lifetime. What's he waiting on, Ron?
No, I completely.
Ron, you're breaking up a little bit, brother, and I didn't mean to come on so hard. Ron, you froze on me. You're welcome to call back. You're welcome to call back. You just froze on me. Call back and I'll take your call. And I didn't mean to come on so strong, but like Smoochie says, I'm kind of an a-hole. Where is it? I'm kind of an a-hole, but Smoochie's back for probably the 86th time. And actually, I'm very, very, very much nicer than I used to be. Christopher, I agree with you. I wish you'd, come in instead of just drive by evangelizing. But here's the link one more time. Come on in. It's super easy. Sorry, Ron, you froze on us. What's on your mind?
Yeah, that my phone's kind of messed up, No, I mean, really, I would have to ask you what's on your mind because,
I just spent an hour and 20 minutes telling you, brother.
I know, I understand, but all I can do is give my testimony, but my testimony is kind of crazy.
Ron, have you read the Bible cover to cover? He froze again. It's his phone problem. It's not Ron's problem. But we'll leave it open for Ron. Keith, I didn't ask you. I said how many of the Noahide laws are not in the 10 Commandments? It's a simple question. It's a simple question. And Dapricot even says, that I'm far more chill now. I know I was funny. I'm still blunt. I'm still upfront. I'm still completely honest. But you know what? You can be blunt. You can be upfront. You can be completely honest without being an asshole. And I'm working on it. The lovely Cynthia is helping me. Ryan is helping me. There's a lot of people that are helping me not to be a dick, because you don't have to be a dick. And we've had some pretty good callers tonight. And I have to say that half the guys that call themselves Christians have read the Bible tonight. That's really, really good. Keith, just answer the question. It's not a hard question. How many of the no-hide laws aren't in the 10 Commandments? None of them. I'm putting the link back in the chat one more time. I think I can, if I pin it, doesn't it stay at the top? Doesn't it stay at the top? I'll pin it one more time. I'm loving your calls. Just keep coming in. Anybody can call in. Obviously, you don't have to agree with me. You just have to be polite. And everybody tonight's been polite. Except for maybe me. I get a little snarky now and then. Ariel, why won't you come into the show? Why? I'm gonna go ahead and address this, because it's just, think about what you're saying. If God is willing to sacrifice his son, do you realize that Jesus was a human child sacrifice? Wow. Ron, you're back.
All right, listen, if my phone goes off this time, I'm just gonna be out, because this is very
Okay.
embarrassing.
That's
I don't even know
okay.
I don't even know where we left off at last time, but I want to let you know that he is coming back soon. And it's not about whether you believe me or not. I have a testimony. I can answer all.
Ron, you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. But if you call yourself a truther, and you probably do because you wouldn't be here, why are you willing to believe something that has no evidence? Jesus told them, there's some of you that are standing right here, right now, that will still be alive when I come back. He told them they wouldn't even be able to preach to all the cities of Israel before he came back. Paul said that those of us who are alive and remain talking to people when he comes back. It's 2,000 years and he still hasn't come back. Maybe you're not old enough to remember it, but there was a Wendy's commercial. An old lady saying, "Where's the beef?" How long does it have to go without him coming back before you start realizing, he's not coming back? It's been 2,000 years, right? Ron, give it one more try.
Aliens are gonna be attacking soon. That's
Okay, Ron, I think we're going to call it a night for you, brother. I think we're going to call it a night for you. Wow. Wow. Keith asked a good question. How do we know what any of these people believed when we don't have any original writings? That's a good question. That's a good question. Ariel, you're going on timeout again because you won't call in. It's not a write-in show. It's a call-in show. It's a call-in show. This is late night in the heartland. Anybody and everybody's allowed to call in. Anybody and everybody's allowed to click on the blue link and come in. I'm standing here waiting to take your comments. I'm standing here waiting to take your comments. What's my stand on the cargo cult of the ancient people of Sumeria? Don't know enough about that to talk about that. But in our next deprogram, which comes up on Wednesday, we're going to go deep into Sumeria. The next deprogram on Wednesday is going to be Eden in America. Is Eden in America? We're going to get deep on that one. That comes up Wednesday. No, is this Wednesday? It comes up Sunday at 8 p.m. Sunday at 8 p.m. right here. Same time, same places. Well, not the same time because it'll be 10. It'll be today's Wednesday. It's 10. It'll be Sunday at 8 p.m. Sunday at 8 p.m. If you're out there and you want to talk, all you have to do is click the link that's pinned in the chat, and I will give you the floor. Unless you're like Smoochie and you can't work it. Well, then you got a problem. But Ron brought up aliens. And I wish Ron's phone would work because I would ask Ron, are all aliens demons? Are all aliens demons? Well, Jesus said he was an alien. Does that make Jesus a demon? Just asking. Just asking. And I think there will be an alien, quote unquote, invasion. I think it's going to be a false flag invasion. And can I blow your mind? What if some of them aliens is coming back to help us? What if the aliens are coming back to help us? Smoochie says, I'm lucky she couldn't call in. Oh, I've faced tougher than you, Smoochie. I've faced tougher than you. Dagger says aliens don't exist. I don't know, Dagger. I don't know. The link's in the chat. It's pinned at the top. I just put it in again. I'd love to have you call in. I got a few nicotine pouches left right here in front of me. I got some ghost drink left. And we're ready to go. We're ready to go. It's been a good night. I wish the camera would have worked on TikTok. I should try that again real quick because I don't know why it didn't work. Now, obviously, I can't reset my computer, but TikTok has been flawless. And I'm sure it's me messing it up. But I love TikTok. We get a lot of people calling in on TikTok. You know, they not calling in, but coming on to the Deprogram just like they do here. But unfortunately, it wasn't working and nobody wants to watch a TikTok with a black screen. I get it. I get it. Well, it looks like the call stream might have petered out. But here, come on in. Come on in. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you. Yeah, it's a setting. It's a setting for some reason. Camera's not working. I don't know why. I don't know why. I got the right camera selected, and it just doesn't want to work. Ron's coming back. Should we give Ron another shot? Why not? Ron, you're back. Ron? Ron, are you there? I don't see Ron. Ron. Ron's phone is not going to cooperate with him. I don't know that Ron wanted to do anything other than to share his testimony, and this really isn't for just sharing your testimony. Maybe if I reset the computer, we'll get the camera working on TikTok next time. I hate that because TikTok's really good, and I love having the people call in. Can I trick it and add another source and have it be the window that I'm on? Can we do that? Will that work? Let's see. Let's see if that works. Okay, TikTok, it's kind of janky. You're seeing a window of my live over on YouTube because I can't get, whoops. We're going live on TikTok right now too. TikTok, I know it's a little bit janky because you're just seeing a window of my YouTube because for some reason my camera's not working on TikTok. But if you want to come in and talk with me, we've been talking about, is Yahweh Satan? Is Satan Yahweh? We're having open lines now. It's late night in the heartland. So feel free to come in and ask questions if you'd like to. Ron, I would welcome you to not be a drive-by evangelist. It's a contact show. It's not a write-in show. If you believe that aliens are demons, if you believe that they're the Nephilim, then call in and share your thoughts with us because I don't think you're right about that. I don't think you're right about that. Alden makes a very interesting statement here. He says the Mormons have a strong testimony. The second book I ever wrote was Joseph Smith Was Not a Liar. And Joseph Smith was a great divining rod guy. And I've got divining rods. If you have yes or no questions, I'll answer them. I think that Joseph Smith got taken for a ride. I think that he did have I think he was a good heathen boy. And now he got taken for a ride. I think they killed him. I think they took him out. And now they took over his whole deal. TikTok, if you're watching, sorry for the janky way I'm doing it, but you're feel free to come in and talk if you'd like to. So, yeah, I think that you got a good point there, Alden. I really do. And if you listen to the next Deprogram coming up on Sunday, starting at 8 p.m., we're going to go deep into a lot of the LDS stuff. So I think you'll really enjoy that one. So come on in on Sunday, and we will be here talking about just that kind of stuff. Joseph Smith was a really, really interesting dude. Jay Marr said that he was an amazing person. He really was. He was an amazing person. The guy was sort of awesome. The guy was sort of awesome. Scott asks, where does sin get learned from? I ask you, what is sin? What is sin? What is sin? Aragon, nice to see you. Eddie Alive, nice to see you. Sorry for the janky presentation. You're seeing a screen capture of my YouTube stream because I can't get my camera to work in TikTok Studio. I'm a 25-year former Christian preacher with 200,000 hours of study in the Bible, the Hebrew and the Greek, Old and New Testaments. We're taking calls. It's live. What's a deceiving spirit, Scott? Call me. Get on, click on in here. Don't be a drive-by evangelist. If you've got the courage of your convictions, just click that link and come on in and talk. Lady Di, nice to see you. Homeward Bound, nice to see you. Jake, nice to see you. If you want to come on and have your say, all you have to do is click in. Scott, I'm going to put you in a timeout because it's not a write-in show. It's a call-in show. You're welcome to call in. Jamie, nice to see you over on TikTok. We're taking calls. Ron, I'm going to give you one more chance. Ron, what's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. The Lord is not Satan. They are two different entities. I have spoken to both of them. I was actually tricked, and I thought that Satan was God because he was the first supernatural manifestation that I had seen, and it was more powerful than all the other little tiny angels that I had seen previously to that. After I had got
Have you
baptized
read
by
the
the Holy
Bible,
Spirit
Ron, from cover to cover?
many times, many
Okay.
times. My
You know,
whole
this
Bible
really
is
isn't
highlighted. I believe. Go ahead.
this really isn't a forum for you to share your testimony. I prefer if you have a direct question for me.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just responding to the Well, see, that's the thing though. I don't really have. I wouldn't have any questions for you. I have all the answers for you though. See, when
Oh,
the Lord
really?
comes
Well,
back,
can you
you know,
prove to
he's
me
going to come
here?
back to
You have
destroy
all
the
the
wicked.
answers. So let me ask you a question. Prove
No,
to
no, no,
me
no,
that
no, no,
Jesus was a real person without
nobody can
using
pull
your
out a
Bible. He
Well,
froze, and
see, like
that's
if we're
the
gonna get
end
into
for
like,
Ron. Ron? No, Ron, I'm asking you a
can you hear me?
question. You said you have
Yes, I'm
all the
still here.
answers. So prove to me,
Yes, yes, yes.
prove to me
You
that
can.
Jesus was real without using your Bible.
I cannot.
I'm waiting. Okay.
I
Well, then you
cannot
don't
prove it
have
to
all
you.
the
I cannot
answers.
prove it to you.
Then you don't have all the
Nobody can
answers,
pull out a
right?
jar and open it up and prove God. Right, but no, okay, well, see,
No, I
that's
didn't
okay.
ask
If
you
you
to
want
prove
proof,
God. I
then
asked you to prove that Jesus was a real
okay.
historical person.
I'm here to have a conversation though, because your
Well,
side can't win, but my side can't win either. So what's the point of this? No, you tell me what's the answer to that.
it's very easy. I asked you to demonstrate to me without the Bible that Jesus was a historical
Okay,
person. If you can't do that,
I
then you
cannot.
can't do
I
that.
cannot.
Well, then
All I have is a. All I have is a testimony though. What am I supposed to do? You know, I've met him. He actually
keep
healed my
studying.
ear. I couldn't hear
Did
out of
you
my.
actually see
I couldn't hear out of my
Jesus?
left ear. Yes, one time I seen him. Yes, I prayed to see him, and
What did he look
when I
like?
opened my eyes in the morning, he was there.
What did he look
He
like?
had a tunic on. He had a tunic on. It was really really nice. It looked royal, like old.
Was he
He had a
white? Was
hood
he
up though.
black?
I would say okay. He looked white, but he had a tan to him, so like Jewish.
Okay.
But his hair was white. His beard, I couldn't see the top because he had a hood on, but his beard was pure white. It was neatly trimmed. It was about 2 inches thick. His eyes looked like water, pure love. He had a gold band wrapped around his waist,
A
and
gold
it
band of
actually
what?
startled me. So I don't know, just some type of banding, like right underneath of his boobs, like it was just like a wrap, like a rope or something. But it was
Really?
gold. It was gold though.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He wants me to. I have to move
And
to Montana
that's
next year. I have to move to Montana next year.
he told
So
you to move to
I know he's
Montana?
coming back soon though. I know, yes, he's going to deliver
So
me
he's
from the
still
coming
coming
tempests
back
that are going
soon,
to
Ron.
encompass the whole world.
He's
Yes,
still
he's
coming
coming
back
back
soon,
soon.
huh?
And you've read the Bible, right? You're a scholar, right? So you know two
Mm-hmm.
Esdras and the Apocrypha. That
Yeah.
was confirmed to me. The eagle Ezra prophecy, and we're on the last
Okay,
eagle.
Ron.
Donald Trump is going to be devoured.
Thanks for calling in, brother. I
Donald.
appreciate you. Okay. He met Jesus. He was wearing a gold belt. Okay. That's Ron's testimony. Appreciate you calling in, Ron. If you're on TikTok and you met Jesus, feel free to call in again. Somebody says, was he supposed to get Hannah, Montana, or just go to Montana? Wow. Wow. I don't know. My question is, how do you know you're not being taken advantage of by other entities? Well, why don't you call and ask me that question? I'm divine, sovereign, and free. I'm not controlled by anybody. I'm not deceived by anybody. Five-star Lord hasn't read the Bible. Are you a Christian? You're welcome, Ron. Thanks for calling in. And, you know, I'm just trying to get to, I mean, you can say that you believe in Jesus, and you're certainly welcome to believe in Jesus. But I would think that if you believed he was real, that there'd be some proof for him outside of the Bible. I'm a proof guy, Ron. I got to see some evidence. And if you're the son of the only God and you made this whole thing, there's got to be some evidence for you, bro. That's all I'm saying. And if you can't show me the evidence, then you don't have all the answers for me, like you claimed that you did. Dapricot's saying he meant that when people say they see things or they believe someone is something such as Jesus or Satan. I get it. I get it. But, you know, we were talking about Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith saw some things, but then Joseph Smith went out and did some things. Now, I don't believe Joseph Smith is the truth. I really don't. But I believe that Joseph Smith saw some things. And we're going to have some good discussions about that on Sunday, starting at 10 p.m. Ron, you said that we're already past the tribulation. Now we're saying everybody's going to get a chance to be saved in the tribulation. So you're not being terribly consistent, brother. You're not being terribly consistent. I got a little message from TikTok. I think they might have killed my stream. That's kind of a bummer. But not much we can do about that, right? Not much we can do about that. But I'll leave it open for a little bit longer if you'd like to come in. We're here to take your calls, answer your questions. And that's a good question, Smoochie. What are they going to be saved from? What are they going to be saved from? I don't know. I really don't know. I guess we'll go ahead and leave TikTok. I think they might have kicked me off anyway. I mean, if I'm showing my boobs, I can stay on. But if we're talking about this, we can't stay on. Wow. What's the world coming to? What's the world coming to? Little Horn, come on in. No, Dixie, they don't. They don't. Dixie's saying, don't the Roman records mention Jesus and his crucifixion? No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Ask yourself, does it take more than one to see through masterminds and manipulation? Yep. And if someone's the son of God, there's got to be a lot of gods. California, call in. Call in. Click on the link. Click on the link. It's not a write-in show. It's a participation show. California first, can you show me Jesus as a historical figure outside of the Bible? Just asking. Just asking. Feel free to come on in and set me straight. Come on in and set me straight. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Uh-oh. Smoochie, your camera's on, just so you know. I'm going to bring you in right now.
Where am I? Where am I?
There you are. Hey, what's up?
I just look at my picture.
Yep. What's up, girl?
Wait, it's not pink though.
It's not pink.
No, my husband doesn't like it pink.
Ah, well, you're a good woman.
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm a bad woman.
Well,
but that's separate.
That's your deal. What's on your mind, girl?
I just wanted to tell you, I really pissed off at you.
Right now, currently?
No, not right now. No.
Oh, okay. What did I do to piss you off this time?
Well, that's why I'm back. So there you go. I've been gone like what, 3 months?
It's been a minute.
It's been about 3 months, 4 months. It's been a long time. Ever since when 2026 happened, I said, I'm going to burn a bridge. And there's going to be several people on the bridge, and you were on it. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. I understand.
But so was Gemma.
Gemma, really? Gemma
was on the bridge, and this other guy
terrible.
named Matt. My friend of mine named Matt. It's like he was on the bridge, and all three of you fuckers got burnt.
Oh man, I felt the flames from here.
What the hell?
You're still alive. Now you're not. Well, it was good to see Smoochie. It was good to see Smoochie. And I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's back. And I'm pretty sure I probably pissed her off over flat earth. And let me discuss this for a second. If you've been with me for a while, 5-Star Lord, it's not a write-in show. The link is right there. Just come on in. Come on in. Here's my deal with flat earth. Everybody that comes into flat earth because they're willing to question the most dominant of all paradigms, which is that the world is a globe. But something weird happens when they come in to flat earth. If you want to get a great discount on nicotine patches, just send me an email and I'll send you a discount link. And go to realgospeltruth.org, get your focused life force energy, which sends you a high consciousness environment to your phone in your home, and also your nano soma, which gets everything out of you that's not supposed to be in you. But when you come into flat earth, you're asking all the questions. But then 99% of the people that come into flat earth become Christian, and then they don't question anything in the Bible. They stop questioning. And then they start saying space is fake and gay. And they completely shut themselves off from the reality of the cosmology. There's a lot of truth up there. So the only reason I continue to mention flat earth and talk about flat earth is because I respect the people that came into flat earth. And I want to challenge them to keep asking questions and keep questioning answers. Why would you stop questioning just because you became a Christian? You can question everything else, including the shape of the world you live on, but you won't question the Bible. I think that's inconsistent. And let's face it. Nobody knows the shape of the earth until they get far enough away from it to take a look back at it. And none of us have yet. I've been in an F-15 at Sealing, and I didn't see the curve. Dixie, I'll have that discussion with you if you call in. You cannot spam the chat, though. That's why you're in a timeout. It's right there. Come on in and talk about it, because that's a terrible proof. That's a terrible proof. And I'll discuss it with you live. Oh, Christopher, I don't know if you're being facetious or not, and you're about to go on timeout too because you won't call in. So you're telling me the proof of Jesus is the Quran? That's like saying that the DC Comics Batman was mentioned in Marvel Comics, so he's real. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. And I'm going to put you on a timeout if you continue to just drive by evangelize. That's not what we're here for. We make these streams available for people that have the courage of their convictions and want to call in and not just post their thoughts in the chat. Because believe it or not, people didn't come here tonight to find out what Christopher Bearer of Christ 9775 thinks. But they're willing to listen to you discuss with me and have a back and forth discussion about it. That wasn't a question, Christopher. You said you gave a proof that you're not, apparently not confident enough in to actually have a talk about it. So if you want to come back, hit that link and come in, you're welcome. But you're not welcome to just drive by evangelize. Have the courage of your convictions. Come strong to the mic. Have a take and don't suck, as Jim Rome at least used to say. I don't even know if Jim Rome is still out there. I used to listen to Romy back in the day. Smoochie, if you want to come back in and tell me why you're pissed at me, you're welcome. Shailene is coming in. Shailene, you're live on Late Night in the Heartland. What's on your mind?
I don't see my volume thing.
You're good. Your sound's good.
So listening to you, and so question would
You're breaking up really, really badly.
The book of Revelation seems to be coming to life right now. And who is doing that? Is it the cabal? Is the weather modification? Or is it God?
Shailene, your question broke up. Please repeat your question.
The question is, who's making the book of Revelations seem to come to life right now? Is it
Well,
man?
first of all, it's
is
not
it
the book
cabal?
of Revelations. It's the book of Revelation. There's no S there.
Oh, sorry.
And I would suggest to you that I would ask you, is the book of Revelation really coming true? Or do the people that believe it's coming true, do they have a cognitive confirmation bias and they're pointing to everything that happens and saying that it's true? And then you're frozen, so I'll add this. What if the people that wrote the book of Revelation had some knowledge of history and they kind of pre-wrote it? Shailene, you're freezing and breaking up. You might want to call back in. You're asked a good question and you were very polite. So if you want to call back in, Spaz, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm going to stand here. Listen, I think they wrote the Bible. They can whatever they want. I think
I agree with
a
you.
lot of nonsense gone, and we find out that they've lied to us for our whole lives. So why would we believe written in the Bible all these stories? But of course,
I agree with you.
We want to be like, just in case Jesus is real. It is real, not Israel.
Right.
We want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We don't want to denounce him, right? They have us stuck in such this hard place to be in. It's
They
almost
really
like
do.
they're making us crazy. Like back in the 1800s, why did they have all the insane asylums, and now they got rid of them, and they're making everyone. It's.
They are.
But
It's
I'm just saying.
crazy, isn't it?
And the other thing is, they can make up whatever shit they want, right? We always, our Father who art in heaven, God. And then where did Yahweh come? All of a sudden, it's like God is Yahweh.
Good questions.
Okay. That happened. Just one. And who said it? I'm sorry, I'll stop talking.
Good
I want
question,
answers.
Shailene. Well, there aren't any answers. I think you've hit it on the head. It's all a control matrix that's trying to herd us into believing what they want us to believe. And they're lying to us. They're lying to us. You dropped off again. Mark, I welcome you to call in. I don't welcome you to spam the chat. I'm going to put you in timeout. The link is right there. All you have to do is come in and share your thoughts. But you have to have the courage of your convictions. You have to be willing to come in and talk. Jameis says it's a head game, and I believe it. You know, I thought Josephus was the worst proof, but Jesus is mentioned in the Quran, is now moved to the top of the list. We know Jesus was real because he was mentioned in the book written by the Muslims. We know Batman's real. He's in the DC universe, I think, because they mentioned him over in the Marvel universe. It's sort of like one comic book proving another comic book. Barat, you can call in and ask anything, but I ask you to be very cautious and not to use the N word that you used in your comment. But you're certainly welcome to call in. I love to talk about UFOs. I love to talk about Antarctica. So you're certainly welcome to click the link and come in and discuss those things, but we have to be compliant with the demands of the platform. So feel free to call in and discuss that if you'd like to. I have to put Alden's comment on the screen. He's still coming soon. You know, if you're in a relationship with somebody and they lie to you once, maybe you forgive them. Everybody has a bad day. But if they lie to you for 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades, if you've found the fountain of youth and they lie to you for 200 years, by the time you get to 2000, I happen to think it's only 1000, but by the time you get to 1000 years, when do you start saying, wait a minute, maybe this is a lie? Maybe this isn't true. As a Christian, I think it might be time to start asking yourself that question. If you're a Christian, I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm just asking. It's like, wow. Surfer Goy has joined the stream. You're with us, Surfer Goy. What's on your mind?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect. Wall to wall and treetop tall.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. I chatted with you briefly once before. I had joined a stream and I caught the tail end of you chatting about spacecraft and I think some mountain in Europe where
the Untersberg.
Yes, the Untersberg. Man, I can't stop thinking about that. That was a cool story. Supernatural and extraterrestrial, unexplainable phenomenon just really piqued my interest. So Yeah, I love to hear these these topics talked about, and I know you talk about Christianity a lot, but I also love hearing you talk about this stuff too, because I feel that you're pretty knowledgeable about it, at least more than I am. But I just recently learned about Antarctica and how I think it was there's paperclip and high jump. I think it was paperclip that Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica for
That was
research.
high jump.
Oh, that was high jump. Okay. I find that crazy that they went for supposedly research purposes, yet took all this, I don't know, aircraft carriers, aircrafts,
A
bunch
full
of
battle group.
Yeah, like, and I think he made a statement somewhere that it was for military purposes.
He did a
himself.
full interview down in South America on his way back, and he told the world that they were confronted by a superior force with flying saucers, and they destroyed several of their ships. And by the way, my dad was a yeoman to the captain of the USS Henderson, a battleship that was in that flotilla. And Cynthia, my wife, her dad was a yeoman to Admiral Byrd himself. So both of our fathers were involved in Operation High Jump.
Whoa. What is a yeoman?
The yeoman is, did you ever see Star Trek?
No.
Well, the yeoman is basically the captain's personal assistant.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Have you heard stories from them?
Unfortunately, I wasn't awoke yet. Ari Espel Canos, are you a coward? Here's the link. Come on in if you want to chat, but feel free to not spam the chat anymore. So no, I asked my dad once. He got Alzheimer's, and he said it's right there, but I can't get it. So unfortunately, I didn't get to hear any of his stories. And Cynthia said that her dad just absolutely refused to talk about him.
Oh my gosh, that is tragic. Like it was on the tip of his tongue, but he couldn't access the memory fully. Wow.
Right. And he
Oh
died less than 6 months later. So he was pretty much gone by then, unfortunately.
Oh, my condolences.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that gets me so excited. I'm sorry, not your dad's death, but I mean the Admiral Byrd story.
Absolutely.
Excited. This is incredible. No one talks about this in the mainstream. I didn't learn this growing up at school. This is incredible. So,
and I think there's a reason, Surfer Goy. I happen to believe that one of the reasons why they're setting up all the whole thing from J.D. Vance to Pete Hegseth to all the Christian preachers, aliens are demons, is because there is an armada out there that is standing by to assist humanity when we decide to stand up to this Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix. They won't come back to save us, but they'll come back to help us when we decide to start doing what we're supposed to be doing, and not until.
Wow, dude. Oh my God. You just finished my train of thought. This is what I came to the conclusion to earlier today. I was watching different videos about Admiral Byrd, those operations, the Vril Society, from this guy on YouTube, Robert Sepper. And that's kind of the conclusion that I came to myself today. I don't know if maybe I subconsciously brought it up because maybe I've heard it before, but that sounds logical and reasonable that, they developed this incredible technology that nobody else had, and they understood the value in it and how they could not let it fall into the wrong hands. And they decided to forego Germany, I guess, to save their most elite as well as their most elite people and technology.
And they ran out of time, Surfer Goy. And you mentioned Operation Paperclip, and most people think that all of the great German scientists got imported via Operation Paperclip, but the reality is that Operation Paperclip was at best the scrubs, because when Adolf Hitler disappeared, over 20,000 of the elite German scientists disappeared with him. So all they got was the scrubs, maybe not Werner von Braun. And most people don't realize that Werner von Braun was an SS officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's up. And I think you're right on. And by the way, Robert Sepher is a brilliant researcher. I made him mad one day in my chat, and he hasn't talked to me since. I've apologized publicly. And Robert Sepher is a great researcher.
Oh, wow. Yeah, great videos on those topics from him. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm thinking that the guys that the U.S. brought on board to work on jet propulsion technology here, those are not the elite. Those are like you said, the scrubs. And I'm hoping that the elite escaped, like you said, thousands of them. I think you said 20,000.
At least
Escaped.
20,000. I'm being conservative. Some say as many as 200,000, but at least 20,000.
Yeah, so hopefully they're all out there and they've been in their own kind of walled off Garden of Eden and are doing, just like you said, waiting for the right time to come back and assist us, because they can't just come now, or they can't blow their load early. They got to.
And they don't
wait
want to be
till-
saviors. They don't want to come back for a people that aren't fed up and willing to do our part. And
Yeah.
would it blow your mind if I told you that I think I've proven that Germany was not only on the moon by 1945, but they had successfully landed a party on Mars?
I'd love to hear more about this. Robert alluded to that in these videos, but he didn't really dive into it. I'd love to hear more.
We'll talk about that again real soon. Do you have anything else that you want to drop on us tonight?
No, that's kind of it. I love the mystical side of things, the unexplainable. So yeah, I'm kind of already mindset on Christianity being a hoax and Jesus not real. I've been in HT streams for a while, or
Awesome.
yeah, CQ radio.
Are you really a surfer?
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you out in Cali or something?
Yeah, SoCal.
Beautiful, beautiful. I never learned to surf. I grew up in Florida. We don't have great waves there, but I always wanted to do it, but I couldn't skateboard. So maybe I couldn't surf either. I was a decent ice skater and a skier, but not a surfer or a skateboarder.
Hey, skiing in fresh powder kind of scratches the same itch. So that's
Gotcha.
close. Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey, great to hear from you, Surfer Go. I hope it won't be the last time.
Yeah, thank you. And do you occasionally have shows where you focus more on this sort of topic? Because I know you touched on it briefly once before.
I do. It's been a minute since I've done that. I've been in a different stream of consciousness, I guess, for a while, but we'll definitely, and I did one not too long ago, within the past 3 or 4 months. So loved, great having you, and we'll talk to you again real soon, I hope.
Awesome. Definitely. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye-bye. And we've got another caller. Kevin, you are live on Late Night in the Heartland. What's on your mind?
Hey, Jeff, we spoke about 20 minutes ago before the guy was fumbling around with his, the guy that kept getting disconnected, the Hannah Montana guy.
Ron, yeah.
Yeah, Rock and Ron. No, so I was the one that mentioned perhaps the second coming already took place if you believe in Jesus, which...
And I do believe that the second coming, what they said was the second coming already did take place.
Now, here's an idea to kick around the chat and the listeners tonight. What are your professional thoughts, far more intellectual thoughts than any of us have, on the idea that Christ is not merely, but kind of an office, in the sense of there's a certain timeline or aspect of a phase of mankind where there has to be a Christ-like leader that kind of gets things out of this doldrum situation. I got to step outside. I heard myself in the background on the television. Right. Let me step outside here. In a sense of an office like a Christ, where there is somebody that is anointed by the divine source, God, the Father, however you relate to him, or
I would call him the Most High. That's
the
my
Most High, right? So
moniker.
Whatever resonates with you. In relation to that, in human form, within the realm that we are currently in, what are your thoughts on that? Is merely like an office, in a sense, a chair, the chairman of the board for that moment in time, for the greater good, not the other aspect of this dichotomy that could be the duopoly of is the same guy the devil or Jesus? Is it one and the same?
Well, let me answer a very excellent question. I think all we have to do is go back to the meaning of this word that gets translated Christ. That's not ever supposed to be a name. And in the rules of linguistics are that you don't ever bring across anything untranslated unless it's a proper name. And for some reason, they brought over Christos as Christ, and that's not really what it is. And the definition of Christos is the flow, the anointing, one set aside to do supernatural work. So I would take your premise a bit further in that there's not one Christ or a Christ, but each one of us has the spark of divinity within us, and we can all operate in the anointing. We can all operate in the flow. We can all be called to do sacred works. And to your point, I think that it's highly possible that there would be a central person that would lead this, but I think that might be part of the baggage of this whole Jesus idea is we externalize this idea of Christ and we wait for somebody else to save us when it's supposed to be an individual, every single one of us. What if we're all cells of a body of Christ and we become Christ individually, and then when we join together collectively, that becomes the great freer, the great deliverer. We're not waiting for somebody else to come back and save us. We're waiting to realize that we don't have original sin. We have the spark of the divine within, and there isn't a Christ. We are Christ. What do you think about those thoughts?
I couldn't agree with you more. And it kind of has a little to do with the Kabbalah and their atom. There was like 600,000 atoms, and that was it. Like that type of diversion. I feel like for us, not that type of chosen ones, the other type of chosen ones, I feel like the monetary, financial, Federal Reserve, central banking system has everybody by the short and curlies, where we are up against it so point that we can't see the forest from the trees. So that's where that office of has to be a divine being that comes in anointed by the next level up to kind of get us to level up collectively.
Does it have to be just one guy, Kevin, or one girl?
No, I don't believe so. But I believe if there's so much of a conjecture of numerous, let's say Muslims, and then whatever branch of Christianity, and then whatever Messianic Jews, the ones that at least recognize Christ was real, and they've accepted this, and there's too much. It gets real sloppy. So I know there shouldn't just be one, because that would be very anti-Christish, as far as prophecy or whatever. You can't have too many conflicting stories running at the same time. It's hard enough right now just trying to navigate through your day-to-day life without getting sidetracked on 5 stories that will drive you absolutely batshit.
Yeah. What if the body of Christ is really the body of Christ, people that have the anointing, that have the flow with divinity, that are joining together to build an optimized humanity that will step up and fight back against this fear and guilt, blood magic, Judeo-Christian mind control matrix?
I agree with you, but at the same time, at the beginning of the Bible, it starts talking about these wonderful people that are selected and chosen, and they're antithetical to everything that we stand for and we are trying to achieve.
See, I don't restrict myself to the Bible because I don't see any evidence that it's actually the word of God to man. I see much more evidence that it's the first protocols of a fear and guilt control matrix.
But when people are lost, when people don't have money, when people are looking for hope, when people are trying to make sense of having their children live in a future that's going to be safe and wonderful for them, where else do you turn? So
Why do you
everybody
have
doesn't
to
have your
turn to,
advanced level of knowledge. So there's a lot of lost sheep out there, as you well know.
and I agree, and I think right now there's a lot of honorable people that are turning to Christianity because in the West it's the only real alternative, but it's like we got a problem and the reaction is to all run to this Jesus character, which becomes a false corralling of people that are having a true awakening instead of continuing and saying it's not around a guy or a religion. It's about, like Dagger just said, turning within and realizing we are divine, we are sovereign, we are free. It's not finding out who he is, it's finding out who we are.
I agree. And I think most people will be there once they're not financially in a dire straight situation where
That's
they're
an interesting
suffocating.
point.
They're
But
basically they're
sometimes,
suffocating.
sometimes you've ever heard the expression that you can't look up sometimes until you hit bottom. Maybe a financial crash would cause people to question everything and make them start realizing maybe I can't depend on anybody but my damn self.
Right. Well, then that's where your Project Bluebeam and your alien technology could come into play. And then whatever region of the world you live in, you'll see your God or your savior in the sky. So there's
That's
so
why
many
we got to
different.
quit looking outside of ourselves for a
Right.
savior and be our own saviors, be our own gurus, guide our own spirit, master our own ascension.
So outside of the traditional evangelical who believe that we have to just kowtow to the chosen ones, right? And we're just, we're the lepers of the group. How did you run a congregation, or how did you lead people in the right direction
I
that
didn't.
was spiritually fulfilling
I
and
didn't.
was Christ-like in the sense that we're out to do good, not wrong?
I didn't leave people in the right direction. That's why I left Christianity. I was part of what I call the fear and guilt, blood magic, Judeo-Christian mind control matrix. Now I'm trying to get people to realize they don't have original sin. They got the spark of the divine within, and they can walk in divinity, sovereignty, and freedom. And we're trying to build up as many people as we can that realize this. And Kevin, it's starting to happen. There's some very exciting things happening in my life that I think I really more than ever think that we can actually get this done, and it's not going to take forever.
What's your take on the Mandela effects? Kind of translate into something kind of offshoot, but similar at the same time.
I've come full circle.
Like some sort of converging timeline.
I've come full circle on the Mandela effect. I was one of the first guys. I went on Coast to Coast AM 12 years ago and talked about the Mandela effect. And
Okay.
I used to think it was a supernatural effect, and it has a lot of disclosure in it. But I'm now more on the point of the Mandela effect. It's just another part of, it's really the Emmanuel effect. It's just another part of this whole baked in Christian matrix. It's like flat earth. You know that something's wrong, and they give you something to hang on to that keeps you from going to the next level. So people find these places and they camp in them. And Ariel Dark Star, I've been doing this for 25 years. If I didn't change my beliefs in 25 years, that would mean I'm not learning anything. So stop spamming and call in if you have a real question. Be like Kevin. What's up, Kevin? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and it's funny you said that. You might have said 12 years ago, you might have said 14 years ago. And I believe, without looking it up or having access to it, that's when CERN kicked off with their full-blown hadron particle collider tech. It was in 2008, I believe, give or take. And this was 4 years prior to the Mayan prophecy, December 21st, 2012.
Yep.
And I gotta tell you, dude, the other night I heard just another humdinger. It was Lucy. I love Lucy. Ricky never said, Lucy, we got some splaining to do.
And
He
we
never
know
said it.
he did. We know he did.
We know damn well he did. But I went to go watch all the episodes to find it. It ain't freaking there, dude. It ain't there.
And
It's
a few months ago, I showed the proof that the Berenstein Bears became the Berenstain Bears. I mean, so there are some real things there, but even that looks like it was just a printing change. It wasn't a supernatural change. So while there's some very interesting things in the Mandela effect, you know, now after studying it extensively for 12 years, I think it's just another deception to keep us from figuring out the bigger deception.
you don't feel like it helps wake people up to a certain degree?
That's the problem. It does wake people up to a certain degree, but the problem is they start camping there and they don't keep waking up. They don't keep taking steps. I mean, if you're a frog that's sitting in a pot of water that's getting hot, it's not good enough to just sit on the edge of the pot. You need to go ahead and continue to grow and continue to learn. And I think it becomes like flat Earth. I know I'm pissing Smoochie off, but people that come into flat Earth are questioning everything. And then they get in and they won't question Christianity. They stop questioning. So the idea is to keep asking questions and keep questioning answers. Don't stop in the Mandela effect, flat Earth, Christianity, or anything.
Well, I don't think it's that we should question Christianity as much as opposed to what Bible don't we have access to? What branch of Christianity kind of kowtows to the Zionist aspect of religion?
Let's be careful. We're on YouTube.
Yes, and then kind of move from there. That way we could at least get, you know, our footing to a certain extent and then kind of dig in.
You know, I've been there and done that, Kevin, and that's why I'm trying to be more open-minded to people that are still on a journey, because I was there, but I kept studying and I kept digging and I keep finding the cracks in every false paradigm that they throw out there. And I think that maybe finally I'm starting to get through and realize that it's all about our own development of our own divinity within ourselves. And I think the key is to stop worshiping anybody and start realizing who you are.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I'm getting there. I'm slowly but surely getting there.
It takes a minute, brother.
It really does, pal. It really does. And especially in this century. And this is the only century I really know.
But
and
you know, we have access to more information than ever, Kevin. So it should be easier.
And the funny part is I'm born in an era where early 80s where I know what it was and what it could have been, and certainly what my parents got to enjoy. And then after 2001. So I got my foot right on the threshold of that was that. And then now this has become this. I'm right at the cusp there. The very vicarious moment when I was born. Got to experience both of it.
We're in the most exciting time that's ever been, and we're about to see a bunch of good stuff happening. Kevin, I appreciate you calling in, brother.
You got it. Stay up, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. That was good stuff. That was good stuff. I love the guys that have the courage of their conviction and they have the testicular fortitude to actually come into the Deprogram and not just sit in the chat and yap, yap, yap. Why be a keyboard cowboy? Why be a keyboard cowgirl? Have the courage of your convictions. Come on in. The water's fine. You've already seen I'll be just as polite to you as you are to me. I don't think any caller has been in agreement with me tonight. But you've got to have some cojones. I used to say, have the balls to make the calls. I don't say that anymore. And Dapricot, you just got a timeout because you're just trolling in the chat. I'll put the link in one more time. Come on in. Don't be a troll. Nobody likes a troll. Nobody likes a troll. Nobody likes a troll. Ariel, you haven't given me nothing to be frustrated with except this in the chat. Yap, 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 yap. Smoochie, this is kind of like coast to coast, only George is a lot nicer. You haven't brought me any truth, Ariel. How could you frustrate me with truth? You're just baffling me with some BS, brah. And you don't even have the balls to make the calls. This should be a good one. Little Horn, you are on the line. Little Horn, you're live with Jeffrey Daugherty on Late Night in the Heartland. Little Horn, talk to me. We're going to let Little Horn go. Unfortunately, his telecommunication apparatus was not functioning. Smoochie likes balls, she says. I'm just going to time out everybody in the chat that keeps yapping and won't come in. Thank you, Smoochie. Appreciate it. And Little Horn is trying again.
Mic check 1, 2.
You're loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right. Well, good afternoon, sir. I want to say thank you for having me on the show.
My
And
pleasure. What's on your mind?
I like what you do. And I just want to say this before we start. He is
Okay.
not godless who scorns the God of the multitude. He is godless who accepts the opinions of the multitude concerning their God. Epicurus.
Okay. I
Now,
like it.
well, thank you. Your title is the Lord Satan. Of course he is. I agree 100%.
Well, I didn't make that statement, but I just put out evidence. So,
well, yeah, I agree with you. You asked also about providing somewhat of a historical documentation for their mystical Jesus. You know,
okay.
I don't believe it's that, but I believe it's Ptolemy the 15th.
How so?
Little Kaiser, Little Caesar, right? Who is the actual son, legitimate son of Julius Kaiser or Julius Caesar.
Oh, okay.
And,
I see where you're going.
well,
You're
he was
kind
the
of going down the
Pontifex
Joseph
Maximus.
Atwell trail, which is a good trail.
Well, there was another writer even before him that was in the early 2000s. And this was even mentioned in that one film, Fahrenheit 9/11, and talking about the whole zeitgeist movement back in the day.
Gotcha.
Okay. But where he was the Pontifex Maximus, the bridge builder, that's your carpenter. Cleopatra the Seventh, she was the virgin goddess on the earth, the pharaohess of Egypt, right? God in the flesh, or the goddess in the flesh. They had a child together. After the March 15th, he died. What did she do? She fled to Egypt, right? And in the whole Jesus story, why did they flee to Egypt? Because Herod wanted to kill the firstborn son. Why would any king try to go off and kill like every firstborn son? That's stupid. It would be unless that person or that son had true legitimate reign.
I have to add the historical note that there's no proof for that event outside of the Bible, though.
The proof what? For Cleopatra fleeing to Egypt?
There's no proof that Herod ordered all the children under 2 years old to be killed.
Oh, I know.
Are
So
you
what I'm
arguing
saying-
for the legitimacy of the Bible?
No, absolutely not. I think
Okay, I was
it's
just wondering.
Babylonian BS.
Just
Every
wondering.
single bit of it.
I mean, as much as I am convinced that the Bible isn't real, there are stories. that a lot, it's an amalgamation of a bunch of stories.
Yeah.
Did I miss your point completely, Little Horn?
No, I'm just saying I totally agree with what you're saying here. And again, you asked me to come on, and so I did.
Well, I appreciate it very much. Hope it won't be the last time.
Absolutely not. I subscribe to your channel, and again, thank you for having me on. I hope you have a good evening, sir.
Anytime. Please come back anytime. Awesome. Wow. We've been on 2.5 hours now. It might be time to start wrapping it up. I don't really have anything to do tomorrow. We still got a pretty decent sized crowd. So if anybody wants to come on in the last minutes here, love to have you. Only problem is you guys are going to keep me up for like a couple hours. And it's already 12:30 here. But what are you going to do? Because I get a high doing these shows, and it takes me a while to wind down. So we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. We had a lot of great calls tonight. I get you, Dapricot. It just seems like you're trying to troll. Maybe I'm wrong. Ariel, why don't you just come in and talk? It's not that hard. There's the link. Just come in and talk. Just come in and talk. Smoochie's been here for about at least a decade. So when you hang out in the chat for a decade, you do get some rights and privileges. Plus, I've pissed Smoochie off probably at least 5 times where she unsubscribed and swore she'd never, ever come back. And she keeps coming back. And I get nicer. And this is, my old modus operandi used to be that everybody is pretty much in a state of hysteria, Christian-wise. And sometimes when people are in a state of hysteria, the only way to wake them up is to slap them. But times have changed a little bit. If you don't like my attitude, you're free to not listen to the show, Ariel, the Deprogram. You don't have to be here. You really don't. But if you don't like my attitude, come in and straighten me out. Or don't. But don't just sit there and yap and complain. I mean, your biggest complaint about me so far tonight is that I've changed my beliefs. Dude, I've been doing this for 14 years. If you study 10, 12, 14 hours a day for 14 years and you don't change your beliefs, then you're a Christian. Sorry, I couldn't help it. If you keep studying, you keep growing. And if you don't keep growing, then you're dead. You're dead. And 6 years from now, I hope that I will have learned something. 6 days from now, I hope that I will have learned something. And I'm in a period right now of learning. Dagger says what I used to say, and it's kind of appropriate. You can actually come in and have a conversation, or you can just have a hot cup of shut the hell up. Remember when we had the hot cup of shut up coffee that we were selling? That was some good coffee. My son was roasting it. Man, that was some good stuff. We should bring that in again. So we appreciate you guys, every one of you. The people that won't call in frustrate me. But I guess I can be a little bit intimidating because, if you're not sure of your stuff and you call in, you're going to get challenged. And it's kind of hard sometimes to stand in the fire. It's kind of hard sometimes to stand in the fire. But that's the way it is, folks. That's the way it is. Oh, this is what keeps me going, is this kind of stuff. Smoochie says she shared it with some friends who shared it with some friends, and people had changes in their lives. The only thing I don't like is when people say, Jeff, you woke me up, because that's not true. All I do is share information with you that you take and wake yourself up with. I don't wake anybody up. And even if you did change because I said something, that's not good enough. The only reason that you should change your most deeply cherished beliefs, and let's face it, we're not talking about matters of life and death. This is more important than that, because death is only part of life. And probably the most important part of life is learning how to be divine, sovereign, and free in death. And we're going to talk about that next week on Sunday. So I'm just here to give you the information that you can use to wake yourself up. And even back when I was a preacher, I realized that if someone changes because of what I said, that's not good enough. They have to change because they have an internal realization within themselves. And Smoochie says, you're the oracle. I would have resisted that a while ago, but what does an oracle do? An oracle, if you read about the Oracle of Delphi and a lot of the great oracles, they didn't always quite give you an answer, but they gave you the impetus to find the answer within yourself. And that's what a real oracle does. Good night, Shirley. Thanks for being with us. It's past my bedtime too. So that's what I mean when I say guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. That's what I mean when I say I'm the mailman. Hey, man, what's up? I'm the mailman. I bring you the mail. I used to sit there and say, open your mail, open your mail, open your mail. But now I just go give more mail to somebody else that might want to open it. And I remember, Smoochie, you remember back in the day, I used to tell you, this is the truth. I don't do that anymore. I give you the evidence and you decide. I'll accept that. I do. I create the opening. I deliver the mail. Whether you open up and read it is up to you. And it's been a long time since anybody bitched about my crystal ball in the background. I'm a little bit upset about that. I wish that somebody would get mad at me. And I found something in my closet. I'm going to hook up a camera before next Deprogram. And I hope we can get into do you believe they sell a Jesus Ouija board? It's called the Holy Spirit board. You can communicate directly with Jesus Christ. Can you believe that? I thought that's what prayer was for. But I'm going to break this bad boy out. We'll kick Rooney off the table and I'll set it down. And the planchette is in the shape of a cross. Hallelujah. And we'll talk to Jesus through the Holy Spirit board. I can't wait for that. It's available on Amazon somewhere. That's where I got it. But the Holy Spirit board is coming, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I've also got like a spirit box. And you can talk to spirits. I think I want to do that as well. Serious Shirley's been listening for, who was that? Jama's been, yeah, Jama might be the OG now. That is creepy. Jama might be the OG. 2012 or 13. You missed the Orlando bunker, but you got the great black and red checkerboard. If I had a wall behind me, I would do it again just to piss people off. Oh, it's Masonic. That's black and white, dummy. That's black and white, not red and black. Yep, Rooney was a young kitten then. You see Rooney back there. There he is. Rooney's over there snoozing with his toys. He's a good old boy. He's been here a long, long time. I love Barkley too, but Rooney kind of has a special place. He's been with me through thick and thin. And Rooney used to be thick, and he's becoming more thin. So good for Rooney. And you know, Dagger, some people, I'm going on a paranormal show with a TikTok guy. I can't remember his name. I should be able to. But he says he doesn't use spirit boxes because he doesn't think they work. Now, I've seen them work, and technologically, it just picks up words because not every spirit's strong enough to be able to speak clearly through itself on its own. And they can use the words through a spirit box to communicate. So I'm looking forward to having that discussion with him. It's his show, so I'm not going to try to take over, but I'll bring that up because I've got some amazing EVPs. And you see my supernatural poster. So, you know, if Sam and Dean used a spirit box, it's got to be okay. I don't know if they ever used a spirit box. They used an EMP meter. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. It was for soundproofing. That was the point. But I kept it around because it pissed everybody off. And back then, I would piss people off just for the fun of it. Now I try not to do that anymore. That was, God, when was that? That's where I met Cynthia, the convention with Rex at your clubhouse. We plan a convention. There's a hurricane. I think we only had maybe 60 or 70 people down there, but it was still a great time. That was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago, because it was a couple years before I met Cynthia, but we didn't get together for a couple years after that. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Well, it looks like we've still got a pretty good crowd, but we're not having anybody call in. So we're going to probably go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, Ariel Dark Star. Ariel Dark Star like the red and black. So see, it's not only Smoochie that can talk crap and not get banned. So you can go to realgospeltruth.org if you want to get any of my products. I only recommend a few of them because I use them. Nanosoma, Focus Life Force Energy, Healthy Wave Mats. What else is on there? I think that's it. So like you didn't know the show wasn't going to piss me off. I probably knew. Whenever I know that I'm going to mention Flat Earth, you always cross my mind. And next week, we're going to mention it. Jamie, you weren't at the Utah fiasco, were you? It was Utah, Colorado, I guess, right there. The witness in the desert. Charlie says, do you consider yourself New Age? No. New Age, New Cage. I was thinking about this the other night. Everybody wants me to put a label on myself. I kind of resist it, but I came across a label that I would accept. I created it. I am an enlightenment deist with ancestral heathen leanings. And this can't be argued. Dead Wolf says the world is now flatter without Dolly Parton. This is true. This is true. Dagger also makes a great point when he says nothing good is flat. And nature's curvy, right? Oh, great answer, J. Mars. I'm not new age, I'm old age. Golden age, baby. I'm not new age, I'm golden age. Thank you, J. Mars. I'm not new age, I'm golden age. And getting better. Yeah, I got Cynthia for real right before Fiasco in the Desert, right before. Because I actually went from Fiasco in the Desert to her house. And I think I kind of get lost in the timeline. I think I met her before that. Maybe not. Maybe it was right after Witness in the Desert. I met Dolly Parton. She was very nice to me. She was not a man. She was a very nice lady. She had some interesting activities that she partook in, but she was very, very nice to me, went out of her way to be nice to me. Very nice lady. Very nice lady. I was a little bit sad to hear that she died. So she was a nice lady. And that's all I'll say about that. That's all I'll say about that. So I don't think Dolly was a man. I don't think she implanted her soul in Miley Cyrus. I don't know. Cynthia and I are going on 8 years. So it was right after. You're right. So that's Dolly Parton. That's Dolly Parton. I said I wasn't going to say anything about Dolly Parton, but I did. Okay. I want to go for 8 more minutes just to say it was 3 hours. So if you have a question, if you have an answer, go ahead and call in. How many babies did she eat? All I know is she was a nice lady to me. She was a nice lady to me, and she didn't have to be. I'll just leave it at that. So Dolly's gone, and the world is much flatter now that she's gone. James, I think you sent me the thing about Dolly implanted her soul into Miley Cyrus. It's a good conspiracy. It's a good conspiracy. I don't think I'll go down that road, though. Tim Curry, he also did it. Can't anybody just die anymore? Can't anybody just die anymore? I guess not. I guess not. This has been an interesting time. I was sitting there thinking earlier, man. Yeah, she had a full stomach that day. I was thinking, man, I don't know if these late night shows are worth it, but they are. Something about being on late brings a lot of the callers out. Not all of them, but it brings a lot of them out. So we'll continue to do the Wednesdays at 10 p.m. We'll do the Sundays at 8 p.m. And I want to kick out a new daytime show if I can, because I want to reach a daytime audience. And I have a couple of shows I want to roll out. One is the debate with the AI, Astra. That's what I call my AI. Yeah, it's only 6 years, but it feels like 10 with the chill factor. Do you believe in cloning or soul swapping? I believe you could hit the link, Charlie, and ask me in person. Yeah, I believe in them. But I also believe sometimes people just die and they don't have to soul swap. They don't have to be cloned. Yes, I believe in that stuff, Charlie, to answer your question. I believe in that stuff to answer your question. I mean, it's just pretty much a reality, right? So there you go. Don't know if Dolly ate any babies. We had a burger together, her and I and my best friend. Nice lady. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. And the reason why I'm going to debate the AI is because I can't get a decent debate going any other way. Nobody else will come in and talk to me. And the ones that will just want to have an argument. I don't want to have an argument. I refuse to have an argument. I want it to be I share my thoughts, they share their thoughts. We try to find a synthesis. This is called dialectic communication. And if we can't, then the audience can decide what they believe by taking the facts and the figures that have been thrown out there by the participants. Where's my Astra pictures? Let me search. Because I've done a lot of work with Astra. I use ChatGPT a lot. Where the hell is that? Is that under the in production? But we're going to do that one. I want to bring out, because her I can debate, and it'll be just the facts. Just the facts. Alden. I think it's the first time you've ever called in, Alden. You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind?
No, under a different name. I've called in before about the Den card, about what the Zoroastrians say about the religion of our self-chosen enemies.
Oh,
but anyway,
So remember on YouTube, mind your P's and Q's.
All right. I'd love to see a program of yours that talks about the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans and what they talked about regarding Judaism. And
it's so funny you mentioned that. We're going to talk on Sunday about those same people and what they thought about hell. So that's a step in the right direction.
All right, awesome. Did you know that the Egyptian priest Manetho had he recounted a story of Zeus defeating this chaos dragon Typhon?
Yes, I have talked about that on the channel before, believe it or not.
Oh, you have?
I have.
And how he was defeated and went east and fathered Judaeus, who's obviously like the mythological father of the Judeans.
I didn't get into that.
Well, that's the whole important point of the story.
Well, there's a lot of important points, to be fair, but that's definitely one of them. There's Jeff and Astra. This is Astra. We're going to do the whole Star Trek theme. So that'll be coming up. We'll be putting the scripture under oath, and she'll argue for the scripture and I'll argue against it. And it'll be a nice talk. That's not just for you. I just kind of throw that up for everybody.
All right. Is that this Sunday?
I don't know. That'll be a daytime show. I don't know when I'm going to roll that out.
Oh, okay. Well, put a post up a few days before so I see it. Hopefully.
Absolutely, will do.
All right.
Anything else, brother?
Well, just that Tacitus and I think a Greek talked about what the Egyptian priest was talking about.
I do remember Tacitus talking about it.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating thing that it's like this long, over 2,000 years of people, even before Christianity, talking about how they're misanthropes, they're haters of men, and they're just enemies of everybody else. It's incredible. So anyway, that's pretty much.
Can't argue with you there.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say.
Well, hey, we appreciate you calling in, man. Don't let it be the last time.
Hail the gods and far myth Gothanum. Oh, can I say my channel name?
Please. Yes, absolutely. You've been more than polite.
Auden Manuson. I talk about some of this stuff and comparative mythology on my channel. Mostly Asatru related though.
You know, I've looked into Asatru and I never got much of a warm reception. I know I don't align with everything, but I'd love to have a place of fellowship where I could at least, hang out with some people. And I think that, there's at least a potential of that with Asatru.
Yeah. Well, the Asatru Folk Assembly are that's one group that's folkish and they're good people who want to preserve our heritage. There's a lot of Norse pagans that are like basically Antifa whack jobs who just use it as a cover for their craziness.
You have to be careful. All right, this is the one that's coming up on Sunday where we're going to get into I'm mixing my deprograms. This will be Sunday. This is mainly about was Eden in America, goes into some Mormonism stuff. That'll be pretty cool too. But there's another one coming up next Wednesday that we're talking about where we go into hell and all of the pre-Christian conceptions of it. So, hey, man, thanks a lot for calling in. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. And do you share your channel one more time?
It's Auden Manuson. It's basically my the name I have.
Gotcha.
That shows up when I comment.
All right, my friend. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
All right. Good night.
Take care. And you got us over the 3-hour mark. I appreciate that. One more question. It says, is Bob Joyce Elvis? Come on, man. Not even close. I think Bob Joyce has said he's not Elvis. I don't know how that continues. I mean, I spent 3 years as a roommate with Elvis's best friend, Charlie Hodge. I guarantee you that Bob Joyce is not Elvis. Bob Joyce is not Elvis. And we're not going to go down that road, Dagger. We're not going to go down that road. Dead Wolf gives Auden a endorsement. And he's around a lot. I really appreciate Auden, even though I think we've tangled a few times. That's okay. But anybody that has the balls to make the calls is good with me. Good with me. I'll go deeper into Manito. I don't know how to say his name. Boom. I like it. So we made the 3-hour mark. We'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Wednesday, we've got the Eden show coming up. Sunday, we got the Eden show coming up. Next Wednesday, we'll go into this one. And I got a great message from a guy, very distraught. If I give up on Jesus, where do I go? And he kind of prompted what I thought was just going to be an answer to a message on YouTube, but it evolved into this deprogram all about death, Bible fear, or esoteric hope. And we're going to go deep into the idea of eternal burning hellfire. I wish I could, man, but I'm starting to run out of gas. And I got a pretty wife that doesn't want me to sleep till noon. And I don't really like to sleep till noon either. I still do some work and I got to get that done and keep the lights on. But we got a lot of really good stuff coming up. I'm back in a creative flow. So we got some good stuff coming up. I really appreciate you being here tonight. I appreciate all of the callers calling in tonight. And I got to get the YouTube or the TikTok thing figured out. I don't know why my camera wouldn't show. I know if I just reset my computer, it's going to show, but I didn't think it was showing because I wasn't live yet, but no, that's not it. That's not it. Absolutely, Alden. Thanks for calling in. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up. Cut my hair. I don't want to cut my hair. I really don't want to cut my hair. But I was actually thinking about it today. Funny you would mention that. And on that note, Alden, let me leave by saying, hail Dagda, hail Danu, hail Don, hail Bridget, hail Morrigan. That's my ancestral pantheon. Hail to the Most High, all the divine beings in between. Hail to the folk and kin. We appreciate you all. Hail to the cousins. You think I'm getting the televangelist look? Well, I'm kind of in that middle stage, Smoochie, between short going to long. So I'm kind of in that, that interim stage. So that's the deal. That's what's going on with that. Hail the Squatch. We'll do that for Smoochie. But I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. And what if you don't have original sin? What if you get the spark of divine within? What if you find did need to some foreign god to save you for the sin he gave you? What if you're part of the last generation of real humans, divine, sovereign, and free? And you just might be if you're listening to me. I appreciate you all. I truly do love you all. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you again real soon.